The Apple Vision Pro is one of the most hyped up and awaited products that Apple has ever made.
Wow.
Since its launch in WWDC 2023, millions of Apple fans have been waiting just for its launch date. And this weekend, it launched in every single Apple store across the country. So let's see if it's really worth $3,500 for the average consumer. The second I got to the Apple Store, I was greeted by a very friendly Apple Store employee who gave me the chance to try the Vision Pro 1 hour after I got there. Once we got to the appointment, I had to do this face scan thing, which is pretty much like, setting up Face ID. You move to the left, you move to the right, you move up, you move down. And then I think that kind of helps them choose between a couple of preset Vision Pro sizes to see what's best for me. But one of the first things I immediately thought about the Vision Pro was that it was going to be really big. I mean, in the ads, it looks like a pretty big spatial computer, whatever they call it, but it looked pretty big. And in the actual Apple Store, it was much smaller than I thought, but it actually fit perfectly on my face, except for a couple of things which we'll talk about later. Another thing that I immediately noticed was the battery. They didn't have me have the battery in my pocket like you would usually have with an Apple Vision Pro, but instead they put it on the table, and I'm not sure if that was a decision because the battery is heavy or because the battery is uncomfortable to hold. But still, it was fine. The only thing that I really didn't like about it was that the cable kind of like interferes with when you're moving your hands around. Your hands might get stuck inside the cable. I did a whole bunch of things with this Apple Vision Pro. I watched 3D movies on the moon. I threw around tabs and apps and put a million apps all around me. And I pretty much just got to play around with whatever feature I wanted. Now, it was kind of a guided demo with the Apple Store employee showing me what to do, how to do it, how to move around my hands. We did a lot of things with photos, spatial videos, panoramas, all that cool stuff, and that was probably one of the coolest features. Those spatial videos are the coolest thing that you've ever seen. Once you get into the spatial video pretty much, you're gonna see it like you're actually there. Now wait a second.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
You're gonna think that it's just, it's like you're actually being there, but no, it's like you're actually there. The spatial audio on your ears sounds better than any headphone. Better than the AirPods Max, better than the AirPods Pros, better than the AirPods 3rd generation, 2nd generation, everything. I've tried them all, and this is the best headphone that Apple has ever made. Now you could use your AirPods with this, and I'm not sure how that would go, but I think that this audio is amazing. I saw the future. After exploring the Photos app, we gotta do a little bit of exploring in the Apple TV app, which is arguably one of the coolest things that I've ever done. He put my environment, as they call it, on the moon. I was literally on the moon, and I watched a 3D video of the Super Mario movie or something like that, and I could make the screen as tall as I wanted it. That was so cool. After exploring the Apple TV app, we got to do a very secret feature, which I'm actually not allowed to tell you guys about.
Naughty, naughty.
Believe it or not, the Apple Store employee showed me this very, very cool feature, and I'm not allowed to say any more than that. He said not to show it to the video and not to tell it to anyone so that they have to go to the Apple Store to actually try it out. It was very cool. Now that I've tried the Vision Pro, let's get on to what I think. Now, what do I think about the Vision Pro? Well, here is my review. I think that the Vision Pro is so easy to use. I mean, to expand a window, you just look at the corner, drag, boom, it's big. To do anything, you can just use your fingers. I mean, zoom in, go forward or backward, forward. You can really much do anything with your finger and your eyes, but one thing that is a little bit weird and you have to get used to is that you kind of have to look at everything that you're doing. When you need to close a window, you need to be looking at that X button, then tap your fingers. If you want to move something around, you have to look at the little bar at the bottom, which helps you move things around, and then you move it. You can't do multiple things at once. You have to be looking at one thing at a time in order to do it. Now, another thing that I did like about the Vision Pro is that it's pretty lightweight. I mean, a lot of people are saying that it's heavy, that it's annoying, that it's a kind of a burden to keep on your face, but I think the opposite. I don't really feel the Vision Pro after a couple of minutes of using it, but it's definitely not as heavy as something like the Meta Quest. I mean, I think it might be heavier in grams, but it doesn't sound as heavy.
Does it sound as heavy?
Oh, I said doesn't sound as heavy. But it doesn't feel as heavy. Another thing that I liked about the Vision Pro is the functionality. You can connect your Mac and do a bunch of work, on the moon. You can pretty much do anything on the Vision Pro, but it does it really quickly and really efficiently. You don't feel like you have to work extra because you're seeing it in your space and because it's a Vision Pro. You would have to work pretty much the same amount if you were using a Mac. Now, one of the negatives about the Vision Pro is that it definitely is a little bit of a burden on your nose. When you're using those solo loop bands, you kind of feel this weird tingling sensation on your nose. It's very hard to describe, but there's this little felt pad that goes over your nose, which is a little bit too flimsy and doesn't really give you enough cushioning for your nose. But I do think that they have solved this problem with their dual loop strap. I'll put a picture of it on the screen. I didn't actually get to use the dual loop strap. I only got to use that solo classic loop that they have. But with that dual loop strap, or whatever they call it, just someone please tell me in the comments what it's actually called. But with that dual loop strap, it kind of takes the burden off of your nose and off the front of your face and kind of more evenly distributes the weight around your head, which makes it even more lightweight than it already is. Now, do I think that the Vision Pro is ever going to appeal to the masses? No, I do not think that the Vision Pro is ever going to appeal to the masses. Yes. I said it. I said it. I said that. I said it. Well, I don't think that the Vision Pro is going to appeal to the masses. I think that something like the Vision Lite, the Vision Air, the Vision SE, something like that will appeal to the masses. Something that's a little bit more lightweight, maybe a little bit less processor intensive, and maybe just some of the core features that every user would use, and definitely with the price lower. I mean, we can't talk enough about the $3,500 price, guys. Until they get it to as low as $600, $700, or even $400, something like that, then it's gonna appeal to the masses. It's gonna be affordable enough for someone to say, you know what, I'm gonna get the Vision Pro. $3,500 is simply not going to sell to anyone except for the most pro consumer. Now, I am very pro consumer with the MacBook Pro, iPhone 14 Pro, iPad Pro. I mean, I've got all the pros. The Vision Pro is too pro for me. Definitely too pro high prices. I mean, it's crazy. But something like the Vision Air or the Vision Lite, which just has core features, maybe once it gets a little bit smaller and a little bit more easy to take around with you, would be a game changer for people on things like airplanes, train rides, bus rides, and just the most boring times. You can pretty much filter yourself out into a world. But when you don't want yourself filtered into that world, you can definitely have things in your own space. I mean, you can use apps while still looking around your room, and even when you're fully immersed in the environments or whatever, you can still see people when you talk to them. If you just look to the side and start talking to someone, and it's gonna start and kind of make this weird bubble around the person, and you can actually see this person while you're talking to them, which I think is a really cool feature, because the main complaint that a lot of people have is kind of the effect on society and how everyone's gonna be trapped in their own bubble. And I automatically saw that the Vision Pro is kind of helping and kind of not helping. It's helping by giving you that kind of social aspect where you're able to see everyone even when you're fully immersed, but it's not helping because one Vision Pro is for one. Yes, one Vision Pro is for one. You cannot pass around your Vision Pro to a million people like you can with a MetaQuest or with an Oculus, whatever they call it. What do they call it? Do they call it a MetaQuest or not? You know, tell me that in the comments, guys. Each Vision Pro is tailored to you, and I also saw that in our setup process with our Face ID scan. It also tracks your eyes specifically, and it has you look at all these different dots, all these different things, so that it can really learn how to track your eyes. But I think that the Vision Pro is also socially isolating and is also trying to combat that problem, but I don't think that they've done enough to combat that problem. The Vision Pro is one of the coolest products I've ever seen. Even though it may be isolating, a little bit heavy, or heavy on the price, guys. The Vision Pro is one of the coolest pieces of technology that I've ever seen, and it's definitely one of the biggest innovations that Apple has released. Probably actually the biggest innovation that Apple has released since the iPhone, and I think that is so cool. I think that Apple is moving in the right direction, but I want to make sure that they do not mess up. If they mess up here, then they could start the end of the world. This could be the beginning of the end of social interactions. Boring! From what I saw in my demo, the Vision Pro was amazing, but the fact that my aunt that came with me couldn't also use the same Vision Pro just kind of makes me feel like people are going to be left out of this Vision Pro society. But overall, this technology is so cool and also so important for the world. Thank you for watching. My name is Gur Haskel. Please subscribe as always and watch some of my other videos here and here. I'll catch you in the next video. That's an ad. That's an ad? Yep, that's an ad playing behind you.